Hello, it has been a while, so time for the October and November recap for 2024. And yes, it's two recaps in one, and this video will be quite a long one. I think I will be trying a couple of new things here. Well, one new thing to be specific, because it's mostly to do with the Arkham Horror LCG, which is something that I played quite a bit with my friends, and we have played through all of the campaigns, and we multiple times at this point. It's probably one of the best card games ever. Definitely, if not the best. It's something quite unique. I will not be going into explanations about the game, and so check the timestamps. You might want to skip those parts if you don't know about the game. We do play campaigns all the freaking time, unless one of us is busy, but we kinda sorta beat 3 campaigns in 3 weeks. So yeah, that's a lot, but it's really fun, so that's why we do it. I will have some explanations about the characters that I played, because I started doing a silly little thing where I play with every single investigator in alphabetical order. I will not be talking about too much about the French builds and stuff like that, so not gonna go too much into detail, just some funny things about and experiences about the campaign, and that's about it. But with that being said, let's move on to the next section where I'll talk about some real life stuff that's going on. So, to tell you a little bit about what has been going on with me, since I've been busy with school, I've been also busy with volunteer stuff, since I run a Red Cross board game club and stuff and there's a lot of things that's been going on, and those have been taking just too much time. I have held 3 concerts, I think, that I have not yet released. So that's a thing. I think, no wait, the latest one is released. Anyway, those are still under production that I will be editing. One of them has live footage and a lot better audio equipment, which I am very, very grateful to my friend for bringing with, and that takes a little while because I want to, first of all, I don't want to show any of the visitors' faces, so I'll have to do some little bit of censoring. I also, since I narrated my speeches were in Finnish, I want to do my subtitles for those properly, so that's gonna be coming a bit later. The big thing that has been taking time is because, of course, school work takes a lot of time, and I've been learning a bit more about composing music, and it's programming stuff, and we've been doing games since it's a development course, and I kinda chose to do, music. And I have not been doing all that much composing, so it has been a very, very learning process. And it is really fun, but it's so difficult because I don't know, I have jack all idea what I'm doing. So yeah, I might release some of those songs, maybe not, we'll see. So anyway, that's basically been it. And there's some other things that have taken quite a bit of time, but those are a bit too personal to get into. First thing I want to talk about is Digital Circus episode 3, which came out during October, if I remember correctly, and all of the episodes have been something that I really do enjoy, and it is such a unique visual aesthetic and such a unique style of storytelling that it really sticks very positively in my mind. I'm not gonna go too deep about the episode. I'm just really, really happy with the way it's been going, and I hope all of you have been enjoying it as well if you have been watching it, but it is something that I really always look forward to, and of course I watch it with my friend, so that also is just, it's nice to spend time with him, and it's really, those episodes are really interesting. I might talk about them at some point in a bit more detail, because there's a lot of fun little details in the episodes themselves that I think I want to make some little like observations about, but I'll have to, first of all, of course, I want to ask permission for those, but I also don't know, I need to think about it a bit more. Also, a bit too busy for right now, so, you know, if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be maybe like at the earliest end of next year, so anyway, that's that. So another thing that I watched, or I specifically want to highlight that came out during this time, is Lilith Walther's Do Not Watch series, and specifically they made an anime opening for it, which, well, not anime in the way that we think about the visual style, but more an actual longer video which just has a lot of anime style references to it. And that is something that their artistic style and their unique visual flair has been something that has been really lovely to see in the past few years, which is this kind of older polygon, like PS1 style, poly-heavy, low detail poly-heavy art style for animations and games, and it has been such a really revitalizing experience to see those. And it shows how much independent creators can do with more of a visual flair, visual style, instead of having too many high fidelity dynamics going in. And that's not to say that they don't like have a lot of details, but that's to say it's better to push for visual style instead of hyper-realism or anything like that. Of course, that's more about games and not animation specifically, but still, it's really, I just really like that visual style. It's, of course, a bit more nostalgic for me, but it is also something that I think has a very, very unique feeling to it. So next up, I want to give a little bit of mention to CrossCode, which I already did talk about in the previous video, or the previous month's recap. And this time I finished it in the halfway point of October, and I will not talk too much about it because it's been quite a while, and I already did talk quite a long time about it. And I think I will actually dedicate a bit more in-detail video for it at some point. Yeah, hey, what a surprise, I'm just planning other things as well. I really enjoyed the game. It's very, very solid. And it's a really marvelous, 60 hours almost. 60 hours for such a cheap game, and it just, cheap as in price-wise, not gameplay-wise, otherwise it's just really good. But I didn't pay that much for it, and it is absolutely a really, really more than worth its price. It's such a surprising game. I think I will have to play it again at some point, because I didn't get even halfway through all of the completion things, and it was really fantastic, and it has some DLC that I need to explore, and an after story, and some an alternate ending, and some secrets, and a lot of stuff I just kind of breezed through in the ending. And there's a lot to be said about the game, and almost everything about it is positive. There is a single aspect about it that I didn't exactly enjoy, and that has to do once again with my color blindness. But I will not be talking about it too much here, because that's also spoilers. So, yeah. It's good. It's really good. It's so good. It's frankly maybe a bit too good. Because I kinda have to reassess my video, best games list. Because I have that one in my the older video with 100 games that I wanted to or top 100 games kinda, which, looking back, I have been looking at it over and over again. We have been talking about it with friends and a lot of my colleagues and stuff like that about some really good games, and I just realized how much of an outdated list that is. And of course everybody changes their opinions with time, and it just gives it's going to be interesting to do that kind of video again at some point, to talk about how my views and preferences have changed and how they have remained the same, and how different aspects have been given highlight. So that is going to be interesting, and like CrossCode gave me a really huge boost for how exactly or what exactly are the values that I really do like in games, and what exactly are the aspects specifically that make a game enjoyable for me personally. So I'll have to talk about that a little bit later and in a different video, but that also gave me a bit of a talking point to talking about like different, I suppose, scales of how you can talk about a game, which, yeah, another video topic. That's gonna be for later, I guess. But that also will be that's, I don't know, that's probably going to be a little bit quicker to do, I think, and it will be a bit of a more rambling video than even these recaps will be. So yeah, but yeah, CrossCode. I went really off topic, but CrossCode, really good, really freaking good. Then the next game I want to talk about, which I did get the first ending in, or the real ending in, is Astral Ascent, which gameplay you will be seeing in the background. There is going to be maybe some spoilers, mostly about spells, abilities and bosses, so if you don't want to see that, you should probably skip this. Yeah, I really freaking love the game. I did, like, on the final day of November, I finally beat the final boss and the true form of the final boss, and it was so good. This freaking game became my kind of a obsession at the latter half of November, and it just I've been playing it too much. Honestly, too much. It has become a problem. Like, it is something that's it's interfering with my schoolwork a little bit. I really do have a huge obsession with roguelike games, and this game, in the best possible terms, feels like a... how do I explain? It's like a love child between Skull and Hades, in a manner of speaking, because the characterization is so interesting. I really do like all of the characters, and the gameplay feels like kind of a mix between Skull and Hades, and I already really loved Skull. It had really tight platforming, it had really tight boss and enemy design, and it had really cool ways to manipulate your builds and so many interesting things. And this game really does go into a very similar direction, and now that it has been a few days and they're already dropped a patch which changed things again and gave more, this game is too much, and I love it so very much. It's really good. Now there's also a lot more in the end game that I need to play, and this recording of this run, which I can't remember, I think it ended in failure, I can't remember, check it out. I'll upload it separately and put it in the links in the description, so you will be able to watch it there to the end. But yes, I really did like it quite a bit, and if you like a kind of it is like pretty challenging, and it gets really insane with the new difficulty modifiers for the like end game, or the first boss fight, and there's a lot more modifiers that you can turn on, which also gives me a bit of a feeling from Hades, and there is a lot of customization that you can do, and there is so many different builds and stuff to go for. There is maybe a chance that it gets maybe a bit repetitive, but I feel like the changes in the environment and choices that you make in the path and all that make it really bit more interesting in a different sort of way that with Skull. there's also a pretty huge, like, a skill barrier here. Of course, the dodging is very, very lenient. It gives you so, like, really huge invulnerability frames, or like really quite a few invulnerability frames. Not too many to make it easy. I still don't regularly beat the game with a harder difficulty. I need with easier, yeah, because it's kind of easy to just stack damage and bull rush your way through the enemies. And yeah, that is doable. But it still is reasonably challenging, and some of the bosses are really difficult to perfect. And that is good. That is absolutely important. What I specifically enjoy, of course, is the visual style. I, of course, do really like pixel art, and this game nails it. It is pixel art with high fidelity, like so many details and so many styles, so much attention paid to the style to it, and everything just flows so well together, and it just looks really, really, really good. So yeah, I don't know. It looks really fun. It looks really cool, and it is just immaculately amazing to play. And it just is entertaining. And yeah, I do die still constantly in the harder runs, and I'm not bothered. That's part of the learning curve. Nowadays when I do play the game, if I pay attention, if I like singularly focus, I can quite reasonably reach the final boss and usually defeat them. But it is still a bit of a crapshoot, and it really depends on the characters, because some of the characters are more like, they are more fitting for me personally. And yeah, no, generally, just like simply said, I love the characters. Like, all of them are very varied, and they are so fun to play, with each of their unique styles and how they just use similar kind of tools but in a different manner. And since there's not too many characters, they really don't feel like they share too much of the same gameplay space, that they are different enough while the information that you have gained from playing the game translates to from one run to another. You still don't exactly, like, each of the characters just don't feel, each character is unique, like unique enough that they are not the same, and they, wow, that is such a meaningless phrase, but each of the characters does have a really unique way that you need to play with them. And when you unlock more weapons, they get even more unique, and each of them changes their gameplay style quite a bit and makes them even more varied. And yeah, that has been really fun to experience. Yeah, but if you want to see the rest of the run, I'll link that in the description. You can go check that out. It's gonna be a hidden video, so, you know, have fun with that. And yeah, I really love the game. It's so good. Yeah, now I wanna go play it again. Yeah, screw this recording, I'm gonna go play it again. So, for the Arkham LCG section, I'm not going to be talking too heavily into the actual mechanics. I'll actually be just recapping what campaigns we played and what character I specifically played, unless the rest of the information what my friends played will be important. We usually play with only 3 people, so that is also important, and we usually tend to play at normal difficulty because we kinda want to mostly just play around and test out different builds and experience the story again. We have played through every single campaign, and since I started this kind of fun little test to go through every investigator, we actually started also a 4-player campaign, which is kinda on ice right now. So I haven't played, but I have only started with the first character, not the I think the first something. So anyway, the campaign that I want to be talking about is Scarlet. We played through Scarlet keys and I used Akachi Onyele, and it's a kind of I really do like a customizable card called Living Ink, which allowed me to, with a like kind of a decent draw, I constantly had something like 10 or 9 willpower, and I was just able to like repeat having that much willpower. And I think I had like one very good other stat as well, which allowed me to basically freely clear every single treachery card in the game. And I also had some really useful tools for us in the middle of the way, and since I usually just mystics do very well in the supporting roles, or rather the flexible roles, I was able to kind of be a very useful jack of all trades, but the setup took annoyingly long time always to get up. However, it was still like very, very reasonably powerful, and I did like that kind of build. Like, Living Ink is such a really, really fun card to play with. I could have done better though. I think it's still a bit slow, and because I didn't have any like some very effective ways to do either multiple damage or get multiple clues with single action, I was just kinda soaking all the effects in, which, you know, wasn't good. And in the Scarlet Keys campaign, let's just say that didn't go really well. It's one of the like poorest performances in that campaign that we have ever had, and a lot of it has to do with us being very, very unlucky and choosing our path very, very poorly. And yeah, I kind of want to play it again, but there is a singular scenario which really, really annoyed me. Well, all of us. And that was, I'm not gonna spoil anything about that, but there was a single scenario which I just absolutely fucking hated. But yeah, generally speaking, I really do like Akachi Onyele. She's really fun to play with, and the campaign of Scarlet Keys is something I really, as an idea, really do like. It has a lot of malleability to it, it never feels the same, and there's a lot of expression of freedom for players there, but it has it has problems, kinda. It's not the best. Now, we did get unlucky, but still, I wish it was better. I really do, and I wish they were releasing the Return to sets for it as well, because it really could do with a lot of rework. But still, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Then the second campaign we completed or finished is actually something pretty fun, and that is the latest, Feast of Hemlock Vale, which has such a really, really fun, unique feeling to it. It feels very much inspired by Midsommar, and it's such a interesting like way that they have made it very unique from all of the other campaigns. I really do like it. The basic structure of the campaign is something that is just very compelling. The setting is of course very intriguing, and the way that player expression and how you want to story to unravel is really cool. We actually got a very, very unique ending this time around, which we were kind of aiming for, and we kind of midway point of the game just decided, hey, let's do this, and that we did. And we are very happy that we got that ending. We have not seen that, and I don't think we'll be doing that again. Now, I played Alessandra Zorzi, who is, let's just say, perfect for that campaign. She has an extra parlay action every turn, which in Feast of Hemlock Vale makes it a cakewalk. Makes it very, very easy. Now, of course, her unique trait, the unique card she has, which is the Beguile card, allows her to basically just stand still and control all of the enemies, and they just kinda, you know, are not a threat to her. And she'll be able to just freely do whatever she wants, or rather make the enemies do what she wants. And it just makes the game, let's just say, very, very easy. You always have 4 actions, you can evade enemies, you can move them away from you, it's just very easy to play around. I just feel she's a little bit too powerful for the game, but it was fun. It's not like it was completely free, but she's very powerful. Like all of our preludes, I think, are the day scenario setups. They are scenario or setups where you use a lot of the parlay actions, and since she has an extra parlay action, it's free. It is just so free. I don't think when we first played through Hemlock Vale, I don't think we did even nearly that well. But now that we had the extra parlay action, it's just so easy. We were really, but still, even though we had an easy time with the campaign, I still do really like that campaign. It's very, very fun. Then the third campaign we played through is Dream Eaters. I used 2 characters, Amanda Sharpe and Amina Zidane. Of course, that's a campaign where you have to build 2 decks. Amanda is just ridiculously strong. Of course, we all know that she's strong. She's, for reasons, everybody knows that she's just too powerful. I think I didn't do that well though, and I actually think just like a general, we did get very unlucky, of course, and there's a single scenario which is really, really difficult, but we still got like unreasonably unlucky. But I do want to talk about this time around with one card that kinda I think came out with Hemlock Vale, and that is the Pocket Telescope. It's a very, very useful card to do more actions like that you don't need to move. It allows for investigation from other locations, and that allows you to save your movement for when you actually need it. And of course, with the way that Amanda functions, there is a lot of cards that my friends pointed out to me that were far more useful than I expected, because one of them played Kohaku Narukami, and he filled the bag with blesses and curses, and there are 2 cards that I really, really got a lot of use out of, and those are Unrelenting and Skeptic. So Unrelenting, of course, kind of had the fun interaction. If I'm not mistaken, it means that the blesses and curses should remain in the bag if you draw them, and that made them just free. That made it such a good card. And then later on, my friend pointed out to me the card Unrelenting, which allowed me to continuously draw like 6 extra cards every turn, which that's a lot, because you could just put blessings in that, because we don't want to lose them, and I can just, get more cards. So that was really useful, and that made the campaign feel really unique and special, and it was really fun. But Amanda is just generally very powerful, and she's something I want to play more with in the future. Now, that was a pretty fun side of the campaign, and then I had to do a very, very unique kind of build with Amina Zidane, who has interaction with Doom tokens, which was something I am not used to. So first of all, there is a card called Cat Mask, and one friend had also that card, and it made it very, very easy to keep both of them stacked at once, because I was constantly getting more Doom into play. Now, of course, one of the important cards that the deck uses immediately is called Scene Eater, which allowed me to manipulate the Doom tokens a lot more, because I could just move them to that. And of course, another very, very important is El Rubash, which I really quickly added to the deck, because it allowed me to basically constantly have more Doom on the board and not care about how much Doom I put on the board, because I was constantly just either ignoring it and or removing it. And yeah, that made it the main weapon I had been using the whole game was Ceremonial Sickle, which, yeah, it's fine. It's not that good, but I constantly had something of I think a plus, I think it was a 6 modifier constantly. And yeah, if I wanted to use the cat mask, I could push it to 8 or 9 or whatever, that like reasonably high, so that we didn't like have any chances of failure. And it was actually pretty nice, like a unique way to play the game and pretty fun regardless. So I really did like it quite a bit. It's a very unique style of play, and with the way that Amanda functions, it's like, I don't really like to use those Doom cards all that much, because it's kind of a irrational fear, because they are of course like unreasonably powerful, because Doom is a pretty high price to pay. But still, it worked like really freaking well. So yeah, I really like that kind of gameplay quite a bit. I don't know. I kind of want to play again with her, but that's maybe for a later time. Like a lot later, of course, because I'm gonna go through all of the characters. And I just generally left, well, Dream Eaters we didn't get like the... Actually, we did get a really good ending, now that I think about it. Yeah, we got a really good ending. But it is a difficult campaign. Still, it's really fun. So for the final section, I have the pleasure of highlighting art done by an artist who goes by the name of Neon. They created a wonderful animatic for the song Compass by Millie, which is from the game Limbus Company, of course, because that's the game that I just daily play that, of course. It's one of the, highlights of this year for me, actually, because I kind of just got through like all of it this year. And yeah, now this will be a lot of spoilers, of course, because it's kind of in the chapter 5 of the game, and that's quite a ways away, and of course it's very character driven, and the animatic highlights that wonderfully. Now, of course, all of their links will be in the description, but I do highly, of course, recommend playing the game, and naturally go and watch the animatic for yourselves, because it's a wonderful, dynamic, it's so good. I really do recommend that you go watch it. I will only be using few screen caps of it, because, of course, that's the easier way to do it, and I don't want to, step on their toes, so... yeah, go watch it, and I'll start talking about a few of the scenes here that I specifically want to highlight. With the first shot, we can already quite easily see what actually drove me to, be enamored by this art, and that is, I love bold coloring. I love a unique style, and something that is so very striking, which is of course that the colors are very clear, distinct, and the contrast between the different colors in this is something that really I just really do enjoy it. Of course, very heavy highlights and just borders is something that for a colorblind dumbass like me helps a lot to see and distinguish different aspects of the art, of course, and it makes it very striking in my eyes. Now, I specifically, of course, do just this palette feels very warm, and it just feels very, very distinct from the game itself, so it works as a very good companion piece for the actual gameplay section, which this is, of course, quite a lot taking inspiration from, and it's just very, very fantastic. Now, of course, I do have a lot of love for Ishmael as a character. She's absolutely one of my favorites. Like all of the characters from Limbus Company are quite good. So, yeah. And of course, something that I really, really do like here is that the way that Ishmael's hair just billows in the wind, because that just feels very, very apt, very fitting for a sailor. So it's really something that I quite enjoy. And of course, I just really do like sailor outfits, but yeah. Those are some of the really, really cool things. There's a lot of other really fun details here, but those are the main things here. With the second shot, the picture still that I have chosen, I really do love how the main use of harpoon as an actual weapon. Now, harpoons are not actually like a really good combat tool, but they are absolutely a weapon, which just happens to work fantastically well. Now, of course, a lot of the focus on the chapter or the canto is centered around the story that it takes inspiration from, which is Moby Dick, of course. If you have not read that, it's an interesting book, and I personally really have enjoyed that. And there's a lot of some personal things there that make it more fitting for me, and I generally just like how this shot in particular highlights the insanity-driven aspect of the story and how the determination is so very well represented in this, and it just is something that I really do like. I just generally do like, of course, insanity as a theme, and just like how it can drive people to different methods, but also how it can drive people towards actually pursuing proper goals, and it can be a resource that just is actually a useful thing instead of hindering progress. And with that, we move on to seeing the whale itself, and my goodness, this highlights the insane scale of the world just so freaking well. The comparison of the ship in contrast to the actual enormous gargantuan size of the whale, it's very, very good here. And of course, the color palette changes from the current scene, which was the previous two shots, to this very dark and just depressing or like oppressive mood, and it's so good. I just the like scale. I really do like the scale here. Now, since this is actually just flashbacks from the character's story, now the way that the actual in-game art shows it is also really good, but I really do like the desperation and cry for help and just like actual panic that is visible from this still. Because it's such a good moment in the game, and just a very, very good moment for the story. And this is just a really good encapsulation for why it was such a turning point for Ishmael and how it became a driving motive. And there's so many good moments here that showcase why exactly and what exactly has driven to this point, and how meaningful it is for all of the characters involved in their own respective ways. A lot of details are hidden in the story that are perhaps explicitly or implicitly explored, and a lot of the themes are just something that, well, of course the animatic here does go into a lot more detail to show. I chose not to show them because, hey, you gotta go watch it for yourself, and it does such a good work here. Of course, a huge aspect of the story is the interplay and the shared insanity between the crew members, and specifically between Ahab and Ishmael, both their differences and what connects them. The similarities and differences are very palpable, and especially the insanity and how it drives both of them, or the obsession rather. Insanity has been kind of a wrong word to use, I just realized. Not gonna go back and edit that though. But yes, it's so palpable, and I love the visuals here that point to how they are both driven by a similar goal, or how their obsession is similar even if aimed towards different goals. For a good measure, just one more shot highlighting the similarities between their obsessions, even if they are for very, very different purposes, and how just the interplay just between these two characters is so fantastic in the game itself, and of course this animatic highlights it so wonderfully. I just absolutely do adore their expressions and how they are so similar despite their differences. For the final shot, I wanted to showcase this particularly because I absolutely adore how the outfit of Ishmael has changed to the proper attire that all of the members of the company Limbus Company wear, and how it just reflects how she has changed here, and how the goal is practically in front of her, and how much she has changed throughout this journey, and especially in that specific chapter here. And here, like, very clearly, in my eyes, of course, in my opinion, is very visible kind of the pity that she feels, and how exactly we got to this point. Now, there's a lot more scenes in the animatic that I wanted to, but those are just few moments, and those are specifically highlighting the different crew members and what happened to them, which of course is very, very important, and their characters do play a huge part in the story. And in this shot it is also, well, maybe not regret specifically for the characters, but kind of a forlorn sadness for the comrades lost and what became of them, and why a singular person's obsession and insanity could drive a person to this point. And it just is very, very clearly visible from here, and I just absolutely adore. And of course, this is the... I'm a huge sucker for colors despite the color blindness, and that is very just absolutely fantastic here. Now, I of course just generally do like the outfit of that the Limbus Company operatives use, and it just looks really good. So yeah, that's basically it. So once again, check out the description. At the top of the description there should be all of the links, and yeah, go watch it if you do not care about spoilers, or if you have reached the point of the game where you have already have already played through the section. So yeah, now of course you could just go and show them your support, so I'll hope you'll do that. So this is quite a bit of a after recording, because I was editing the video and realized I didn't have an outro recorded. Hey, anyway, thank you all very much for watching and listening and hearing me ramble, and hopefully it was interesting. Go check out the links, and I really wish you all the best Christmas, New Year's, holidays, whatever you celebrate and however you want to relax. I hope the winter has come for you all rather well. I'll continue to work on my stuff and try to get videos done. Thank you, and enjoy the ending of the year, and I'll catch you next year.